truly believe in the magic.
What's up, Magic fans? I'm Mikey, and welcome to the Penny for Your Thoughts podcast, the weekly UK podcast from Orlando Magic UK. Today is Friday, the 29th of October, 2021. On today's episode, we'll be discussing, the latest Orlando Magic news, injury updates. We'll be recapping the last week of Magic games. We're going to look forward to this week's upcoming games, and we're going to give you our predictions for the week. Unfortunately, we had to postpone last night. We were supposed to have Jake Chapman on from Orlando Magic Radio. I hadn't paid my bills, so my internet went down. And then on top of that, Paul had another incident at home this week.
Back.
Calamity is back. So before we dive into the show, let's introduce the co-hosts. First of all, Calamity. How are you feeling, Paul? Do you want to tell everybody what you did? Well, it wasn't you, was it?
Well, it wasn't me. No, it was the dog. Our dog jumped off the back of the chair where he spends his day in the sun, watching the world go by. Leapt off the back of the chair into, should we describe it as my gentleman's area? And has successfully caused me to have a bit of a strain and severe discomfort around the nether regions.
You couldn't write this, could you?
Oh, you could. It's Paul. Paul never ceases to amaze us.
There you go. Outrageous. So
we're also
not the first time my gentleman's area has been injured by a dog.
It's not. So we're also joined this week by the star of our new weekly segment called Rant, Geraint Jones.
This wasn't on the agenda, mate.
I know, but I've got mate. I can't put everything on there. Got to have some surprises for you.
Well, I'm looking forward this week because I'm sure you two are going to participate also. So I'm looking forward to hearing your takes on certain games that were played this week. So,
there is disparity on free throws, mate.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah,
so,
we got nothing. No. We got nothing called. As someone said.
Honestly, do you know what? Last week when I put that video out with the podcast, G was like, "No, don't say that because everyone thinks I'm on this every single week." I was like, "G, you are on this every single week. It's going out, mate.
I'm sorry,
you haven't got any option." Never mind. So, G, you've got that label, mate. It's not going. So we're going to make sure of that.
So, internationally, you've got that label internationally, pal.
Exactly. So we're recording next Thursday. So we're going to have Jake join us next week. So we've just rescheduled with Jake. So unfortunately, we couldn't get him on last night, but never mind. So moving on to some Magic news then. So on Tuesday, the Magic announced the signing of guard Michael Mulder on the team's second two-way contract. Iggy Brasdeikis is the other. Mulder, 27, he's 27. He went undrafted in 2017 before signing with the Golden State Warriors. He's only played 67 games in the NBA. He appeared in 60 games last season for the Warriors, averaging 5 points and shooting 39% from the three. So, Paul, quick thoughts on signing Mulder to the two-way deal?
Mate, I think he's a solid pickup. You know, honestly, you look at he was a fairly reliable scorer whilst he was with Golden State. 3 occasions with them last season, he registered 20 points or more. Career high of 28 against New Orleans last season. I think both games he played against us was double figures. Yeah, solid pickup, mate. I'm happy with that. Scored double figures on 13 occasions in those games last season. So, yeah. We need a bit of an option for wing shooting, without a doubt. So let's get the guy in, let's give him a chance, and let's see what he does. We've got a history of picking up some decent little players that can come in and do us a job. So, yeah, I'm happy with that one.
And especially
it's one less magic killer on other teams, isn't it, basically?
So, and whilst we got some injuries, so it could be somebody else that could fill in as well. So,
yeah.
So next bit of news then. Good. Good. So moving on to next part is the Lakeland Magic announced earlier this week their 15-man roster, which includes Michael Mulder, Iggy Brasdeikis, Hassani Gravit. I think John Teskey was in there, who both featured for the Magic in preseason, and Devin Kennedy, who's now fully recovered from his dislocated ankle that he suffered playing for Orlando towards the end of last season. So it's great to see him return to Lakeland this season. Lakeland will tip off the season on the 5th of November at home to the Texas Legends. And I don't know if you've seen today, they've announced one of their new uniforms was kitted out with gold to celebrate the title. So that's really cool. So G, any thoughts on the roster quickly?
Yeah, I mean, you've just reeled off a couple of players. The only two you didn't mention, BJ Johnson and Admiral Schofield. So it's quite a deep, talented roster. A lot of people coming back from the championship team. So you'd like to see them continue, with the success they had last year. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of comparisons with the Magic because we run the same offense. So getting Mulder and Brasdeikis, back and forth between Lakeland and Orlando, where they can assist the full team, it's going to be very helpful. So, hopefully they get another good season, and we look forward to hearing about it from Hank. I'm sure we'll get Hank on at some point. So looking forward to it.
Let's hope they go and win another title, which would be cool.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So just an update on the injuries. I haven't actually checked before I jumped on, but this is what I did yesterday.
Same as before, mate.
Same as before. Exactly. So the Magic are without 5 players at the moment. Markel Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Akiki, Michael Carter-Williams and Etwan Moore are all currently listed as out. We did, however, see Gary Harris return from his injury last week in Miami. So we got one of them back so far. So
the only other thing, mate, the only other thing that's listed is Michael Mulder. He's listed as being unavailable yet to the team. I'm assuming that's down to moving across the country.
Quite possibly. So over the last week, we've seen some teasers from the Magic regarding this season's City Edition uniforms, which looks to include an orange theme again. We've got the throwback logos, and we also got a Markel Fultz sneak peek video where he's having a look and we can't see what it is. But it looks like we've got another orange themed jersey. I know we've all been happy with the orange over the last couple of years. So G, you're the biggest jersey nut out of the three of us with your with enough for 3 of us. How excited are you for another orange uniform?
Yeah.
You like it?
I like that. It's not black, is it? I don't know what the colour. Paul probably knows it. Is it like anthracite?
Anthracite grey.
Previously it was called anthracite, wasn't it? Yeah.
Anthracite grey, yeah. No, I quite like that. It's something different. I'm not going to lie. My wardrobe is primarily blue, white and black. So having a little bit of colour is always a little bit nice. I'm always looking forward to a new jersey, and I'll be, trying to order as soon as I can. So it's just a question of now of deciding which player you want, isn't it? Have you got any favourites that you're going to get? But I know Paul's obviously going to get his legendary self. On.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
I think we should
68.
See, I think we should change that. I think we should start getting Calamity 68 on the back of it.
No, it's remaining at Biffa, mate. It's remaining.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. So have you decided who you're going to get, Mikey?
Not yet. We'll see. I want to see it come out first, and then we'll see what name looks good on the back of it. But
the first variation of the grey and orange bag, didn't you? You weren't a fan at all.
I did. I think I bought it from Nike, actually. It was an Aaron Gordon one.
Yeah,
I picked it up.
Yeah.
I wore it and I stuck it on. I was like, I'm just not feeling this one. But last year's I really liked. I think I said if it was black and not this anthracite grey, I think I might have taken to it a little bit more. But yeah, I don't think it suited me either. And I look good in a lot of things. No, I'm just joking.
We've seen that you've got your shorts on tonight. We've seen them pasty legs.
Hey, never mind. It's in the jeans, isn't it? So, Paul, you're obviously a big fan of the anthracite grey that we had 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Still one of my favourite jerseys.
What are you hoping to see on this year's?
Some form of throwback logo on it to tie in with the 75th. I'm hoping we've got pins on there as well, a bit of pinstripe action. So, yeah, if it combines something of that nature, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
That's all I can just tell you what I've seen.
or we all right, should we be honest? We've seen it.
We've seen it.
We've actually seen concepts of it, haven't we? We haven't actually seen the jersey itself, but we have seen concepts, so we do know what it's like. So we may as well edit the first bit out.
No, mate, I'm hoping that genuinely, I mean, it is only images that we've seen, and let's be fair, as with everything that we say with the Magic, until we actually see something physically there, we don't believe it. But yeah, I'm going to say I would still like to see some pinstripes. I would like to see some throwback logo in some shape or form. And if we've got that combo, I'm happy.
Cool. Good man.
We've only got a couple of days, boys. Only got a couple of days. 1st of November.
And
we've just got Halloween to get out of the way, mate.
Yeah.
And whilst we're sticking with the orange theme, our friend of the show, Luke Wood, will be happy with another orange themed jersey, being a Blackpool fan. So he'll be happy with that again. So moving on to the last bit of news then. So we found out on Wednesday that beat writer Josh Robbins, who covers the Magic for The Athletic, is going to be leaving the Magic and heading north to cover the Washington Wizards. So we obviously heard news that he recently lost his dad and heading home. He's actually from the Washington area. And I think he grew up going to Wizards or Bullets games, I think it was back then. So he'll get to be around his family a lot more. So Josh has obviously covered the Magic for 13 years, previously with the Sentinel before moving to the Athletic. G and I had the pleasure of meeting him in 2016. And obviously last year he approached us and asked if he could write an article about us, which for the three of us was a bit of a mind-blowing experience.
Bizarre moment, wasn't it?
And you're thinking, why would anybody want to read about the three of us? but I'll link that article in the podcast. So if anybody hasn't read it, they can go back and look at that. But it was basically he wanted to interview us because our trips got cancelled because of COVID last year when we were supposed to head out. And Paul had quite a funny experience, didn't you? When you were getting interviewed by Josh.
Yes, mate. Yeah, it was very bizarre to hear him say that his phone rang and it was Steve Clifford, the then coach. I think, oh, he can wait. I'll carry on. I'll carry on talking to you, Paul. Like, no, that's Steve Clifford. That's the gaffer. I would kind of expect that takes a bit of priority, but no. Apparently, he wanted to talk to me, which was very nice. Enjoyed that.
Yeah,
bizarre.
But I think we're all in agreement. We're all gutted Josh is leaving. He's part of the reason we do subscribe to The Athletic to read his work. He's a lovely bloke. He's obviously been on the podcast a couple of times and done some work with us.
He's been a good friend to us, hasn't he? Let's be fair. Coming on the podcast, he's been fantastic company when we've met him. He's been generous with his time coming on. He's a loss to Magic fans because of the work that he does and the content he produces. But you've got to, we fully support his decision, understand it. I know we've all individually sent our condolences to him around the loss of his father. And you've just got to wish the guy every success in his future life and happiness. Fair play to the man. He's a good guy.
Yeah. And the only thing to add to that is I thought he was kind of the voice of the fans as well. He would listen to us. He had his, mailbag, answer our questions, and he'd also put our questions to management and the coaches and the players during the press conferences, which was greatly appreciated. And we're going to miss him.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's recap last week's games. So starting with the New York Knicks last Friday. which was the home opener for the Magic. They obviously got off to a rough start. They trailed by 20 at the end of the first quarter, 30 at half time. We did show a bit of life in the third quarter, but obviously that 30-point deficit gave us a big hole to try and climb out of. And in the end, the Magic lost 96 to 121. Mo Bamba finished with 15 and 10. Jalen Suggs finished with 14 points, 7 rebounds and 8 assists. And Mo Wagner finished with 16 points and 4 rebounds.
Franz.
Who did I say? Mo
Wagner.
My bad.
Franz.
This is going to happen often, I think.
Do you know what's even worse is on their shirts, on the back of their jerseys, there's no F, there's no W. Oh, sorry. There's no M or no W.
There is.
I can't
right at the start of the name, mate.
I've started already, haven't I? But it just says Wagner on both.
What I can tell you, mate, what I can tell you is there's no J in the surname of Jalen Suggs.
I'll pretend that I never heard that. The Magic also finished that game with 18 turnovers, which has been a bit of a trend for the Magic over the first 5 games of the season. So, guys, quick thoughts on the Knicks loss, G?
I thought, other than the first 5-6 minutes where we were trading baskets with them, I think they made the first 4 threes. So that, they jumped out 12 points on 4 3-point field goals. Any team that makes 24 threes in a game, you're going to struggle to beat, especially at 44% clip. Whilst we didn't shoot it that badly from 3 ourselves, making 17, I thought we were a little bit flat. And by what I mean by that is, opening night normally, when the players get introduced and everything, I felt that there wasn't that excitement watching it on the television. Whereas normally, I don't know, it just seems to be a bigger thing. It could be down to the fact there was too many New Yorkers in the stadium. I'm not going to lie, they annoyed me a little bit. It's our home game. It's our home opener. And there just seemed to be too many Knicks there for my liking. But the only positives, I suppose, were the 22-4 run in the third quarter that, halved their massive lead of, I think it was 36 down to about 17 or 18 at the time. Made it a little bit more respectable. As you've mentioned, Mikey Bamba had a good game. Jalen Suggs struggled a bit, but that's got to be expected. But I thought we ran into a Knicks team that created offense very well and executed very well. I mean, when Derrick Rose makes 4 3-pointers, you're in trouble because he's not the best career 3-point shooting point guard. Evan Fournier had a quiet 18 points, I thought. Randall got his 21 and 10 and a cheap shot at Carter Jr. We might get to that in a second. But other positives was our starters outscored their starters 65 to 63. And bearing in mind the ages of our starting unit, it's got to be commended. Their bench obviously was a lot deeper. Guys like Emmanuel Quickly scoring 16. Alec Burks, who always seems to kill us, notching 12, topping with 13, and Rose with 12. So far too many turnovers. Execution wasn't there. But end of the day, we were beaten by a more experienced team that's going to get into the playoffs this year.
And the only thing I'd add to that is that I just felt on the night defensive rotations weren't there. We weren't getting into positions, and too many offensive rebounds by New York as well. We didn't control the ball as well on the defensive end for me.
I think that's been a theme throughout, really, hasn't it? When Bamba and Carter Jr. step off the floor, whilst I like what Mo Wagner does and Robin Lopez gets a few, you almost need somebody else as well to come in there. It's that
point where we're struggling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that point. Yeah, quite agree.
Yeah. So moving on to the following, to Sunday evening, the Magic travelled to New York to face the Knicks again. Orlando hung around for most of the game. The Knicks led by 6 going into the fourth quarter before the Magic went on a 12-0 run to start the fourth. Cole Anthony was terrific. I think he was excited to be back in New York. His mum was sat courtside. And obviously his dad played there for many, many years. So Cole finished with 29, 16 and 8. He was just an absolute animal on the boards for somebody who's listed as 6'3", which, come on, none of us believe that, but he plays like he is. Terence Ross was scoreless for the first three quarters, and he poured in 22 points in the final quarter. And the Magic went on to win 110-104 for the first win of the season. Mo Bamba also finished that game with 10 points and 13 rebounds. So, Paul, what did you think about the first win of the season?
Okay, I was expecting I was talking about New York and Miami and Charlotte.
Right, go for it.
No, it's all right, mate. Mate, for me, what a team performance! It was a superb team performance. You've covered a lot of it. I'm going to mention a couple of things. Mo Wagner that night, he was so important late in that third quarter with, I think it was 8 points as New York threatened to move away. He came on and monster one-handed dunk he threw down in that period. Hugely important to us. The other guy I think that we've got to mention on that particular night was RJ. He's not had the best of starts to the season, but in that win in New York, I thought that the points where he was on the floor as the point guard, he ran the point really, really effectively, and it was a big contribution that he made without it necessarily appearing on the stat sheet. He had it's probably his best game of the season. But other than that, mate, I think you've mentioned most of it. Jalen Suggs was pretty aggressive. Few nice passes, scoring well early. Faded out a bit, but then again, Cole took over, didn't he? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
So, I was really pleased with it. Brilliant result for us. Huge improvement.
I was having a look at the stats, and again, like the game previous, the starters matched the Knicks starters, beating them 71-70 in points. Field goal percentage, obviously the Magic shot 41 to New York's 37. The Knicks got good looks in the fourth quarter, let's be honest. So I think we got to count ourselves quite fortunate to get out of that one. But like Paul said, it's a great team performance and a real building block for a young team like ourselves to be able to get that. But like Cole Anthony, he was like an Energizer bunny, wasn't he? He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
They just seemed to go out and say, "You embarrassed us on our home court. We're not having it. We're gonna show you what we're made of." And they got that revenge. Really, really good team performance.
And you made a point last week, Paul. It's very difficult to beat the same team twice.
Yeah.
And I was true to form. And given the fact we got beat pretty good by 25 the previous night on our own floor, that was a great character win.
Yeah, absolutely.
That win. It kind of it was the epitome of what this team's hashtag is, that Magic Together. It really was, and it had a bit of a throwback to the old Heart and Hustle, where they came out and played at a greater level than necessarily the parts, the individual parts. They played as a really good unit. Impressed.
Well, I had a howler on Monday watching that game. I think I told Geraint and not Paul.
Yeah, you did. You did.
So obviously I didn't stay up for the game. So I went to work Monday morning. I was going to come home just before lunch, watch the Magic. Then I was going to watch the Raiders game straight after. This is coming off the back of Liverpool smashing United 5-0. So I've got to add that in there as well.
I knew you'd say that.
It's got to be said. It's got to be said. So I turned the game on and no, it wasn't even that. Before I went to work, I checked my emails and the first email at the top of my list in massive capital letters said Magic win. So I knew.
Schoolboy error.
So before I'd even gone to work, I knew the Magic won. So I stuck it on, all in excitement, thinking, right, this is going to be fun to watch anyway. Stuck it on, watched the game. And then, of course, Bally Sports, they didn't do this under Fox Sports. They have all the updated scores going underneath. So they got the NBA scores, they got the NFL scores, and then the Las Vegas Raiders score pops up, and they also won. So when I got to watching the Raiders game a couple of hours later, straight afterwards, I already knew the score to that one as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's rare that all three teams win on the same day. So that's one thing. But yeah, I couldn't really get super excited because I already knew we were on the right end of it.
Mate. Sorry, schoolboy error.
But never mind.
Never check your emails, never check your Twitter feed, never check your Facebook feed. None of it. So you have to accept all those little numbers standing there telling you've got all these notifications.
Yeah, so learn from me. I don't even have notifications on. I literally went to check my work email and that was it, but never mind. We'll get another W this week, so we can enjoy that one. So moving on to the Miami Heat on Monday night. So it's the second night of a back-to-back for the Magic, who traveled to South Beach. Miami built a 12-point early lead. They held the Magic to 40% shooting for the game, and they really put the game out of sight and sort of held the Magic at arm's length, what felt like a very tired and leggy performance, especially towards the end of the fourth quarter. So the Magic went on to lose to the Heat 90-107. The rookies, Suggs and Wagner, both finished with a team high of 15 points each. 16 turnovers again, another problem for the Magic on Monday. So, G, thoughts on the Heat game?
Yeah, well, let's be honest. The Heat are in the top tiers, maybe the second tier, possibly, in the Eastern Conference. So you're coming up against a veteran team with a lot of championship caliber players. We saw Jimmy Butler do his thing. And let's be honest, he made the game look easy, Butler did, didn't he? There weren't that many jump shots. It was all layups. They were passing it. But we did well to hang around what we did. But this is a learning experience, the likes of Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony. I thought Wagner was absolutely superb. I need to mention this. I put it on Twitter the other day. I said, I'm getting a Wagner jersey when it comes to my City jersey. I've been really, really impressed with him. He just seems to be in the right place all the time. His shooting stroke is just there, isn't it? We were a little bit concerned in pre-season. Everyone's writing him off. But as Dan Savage said, all the scouts were raving about him, and it seems that they were all right. So let's hope he continues. But just one point on that, I was just having a little look, doing preparation, and can you tell me who the leading minute getter is for our roster after 5 games? Can I hazard a guess?
Well, I'm going to guess it's Wagner.
I thought it was Franz. I thought it was Franz, mate. Yeah.
Franz with 32.8. Then you got Cole at 32.6 and Bamba with 31, followed by Suggs with 30. So they're the 4 players you want to build around out of that team. Obviously, Wendell gets 28. He's next. Then you got Terrence Ross. They're the core players. So, we're taking our lumps. We're losing to the Heat, fair enough. But it's good to see that these young players are getting their minutes. They're getting decent enough performances. I know Jalen's struggling a little bit, but he's showing flashes. He's picking up, 6 assists, 8 rebounds in different places. So it's doing the bits that people might not even look on the box score for. So he is getting involved in ways that isn't, in the limelight. Yeah. So, that game, it was a bit of a hard watch in the second half. And the last thing to mention on it, Mo Wagner, I loved it. Is it the first or the second quarter?
Yeah.
When he got into one of those twins
faces.
Markeith. Don't like him. And then he got tangled up with Dwayne Dedman. It just added that interstate rivalry, that spark to it again. I'm not going to lie, I was shouting at the television, go on, deck him or whatever. But
did you notice at the end of the game, unlike against Charlotte, where everybody came together to shake hands and talk and congratulate, Very, very little at the end of the Miami game.
Really?
Both teams sort of went that way. There were one or two, don't get me wrong, but there was a good proportion, a good number of the players just went straight off either direction. So it's clearly a bit of,
we don't like
a bit of
them.
animosity.
So
no, we don't.
No, so I liked seeing that from Mo, and I like that enforcer kind of mentality, because I don't think we've had that for a couple of seasons. And he's like that junkyard dog who'll come in and do the dirty work. So fair play to him.
I'm going to say just one more thing about the Miami game before we move on. I think Robin Lopez was really, really important to us in that second quarter when Miami were threatening to get away, and he came on, gave us some good energy, scored us a few points, and he kept that energy up that we didn't capitulate to at any point. We kept plugging away, even though it was, as you said, Mikey, a tired performance. But they did keep responding to Miami whenever they tried to get clear. And that was just an example of it. What was it? Twice we cut the deficit to 6 points in the third quarter.
We did, yeah.
Did anybody actually feel that the result was ever in doubt? It just felt like we were always going to run out with the loss. I know I wrote in the game review that it kind of felt a little bit like a blueprint for the season, that we were going to, we were there playing some nice basketball. We were showing spark at times. But by the end of it, we were just beaten by better shooting and experience. And I think we're going to see one or two of those, particularly early season, perhaps up to All-Star, where that's the way it is, that we try and compete. We compete well in parts. We develop a lead here and there, and then just drop away.
Yeah. So the Magic finished this week with the Charlotte Hornets. So they travelled back to the Amway Centre. The Magic got off to a much better start. They built a 12-point lead, I think, halfway through the first quarter, but that quickly disappeared towards the end as the Hornets got going. The Magic struggled throughout, guarding Miles Bridges, who finished with 31, Gordon Hayward, who finished with 24. It was a much, much better offensive night. I think the Magic were in the 30s for the first three quarters, but 8 turnovers in that final 12 minutes. Failing to execute offensively. It felt like there was a lid on the basket for quite a period of that fourth quarter. And the Magic fell short, losing 111 to 120. Cole Anthony finished with 24 points. Wendell Carter Jr. finished with 20. And Franz Wagner finished with 15. So, Paul, thoughts on the Hornets game?
Not a lot left to say after that, is there?
Sorry, I was just recapping it.
I'm going to say that's a bit more of a recap than a recap, isn't it? It's bloody review. Look, I thought for three quarters it was really competitive, thoroughly enjoyable, and then hello turnover city, and we just went cold on the shooting in that fourth quarter. Franz was a monster, but again, the positives. Bamba with 10 points plus in every game, 3 double-doubles. I think he's got 8 blocks on the season now. The game where he didn't get the double-double was he'd got 9 rebounds then. It's Wendell Carter Jr., he's had 2 double-doubles. The games where he didn't get the double-double, he had 9 rebounds in 2 and 8 in the other. He's scored 10 points plus in 4 out of the 5 games. Add in then his blocks and steals. It's not been a bad week as far as the development team go. Yeah. Not going to criticise. You can't fault the energy. They came up again. Charlotte are a good team. They have some good players. They have some good depth. And in Bridges, there's a reason he's the Player of the Week, Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and he showed it. I know that Ball had a quiet night against us, but you look at what Hayward did. They've got some good players and they're a good team. No shame in that loss.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything left to say. All my notes, I can just strike everything through. Paul just mentioned it at the death there. That LaMelo Ball was kept in check by Cole and Jalen and everybody, and that was very impressive to come up against somebody who's talented as that, and to keep him very quiet. Let's be honest, and all of his buddies had to do the work. So no, you come up against different challenges every night, and in the Hornets game, keeping LaMelo quiet was one of them. And he did that. So again, what Paul said, it's a good developmental step. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you listening, you can support today's episode and visit Fanatics UK using our affiliate link in the description of the podcast. You can shop officially licensed sports jerseys, merchandise, and fan apparel, including the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, football, soccer, rugby. It all comes with international delivery. So even our friends in the US can order from the UK site. You can use our discount Magic UK 10 to get 10% off your entire order, or you can use a code that's live on Fanatics website, which may get you more discount as well. But please note some exclusions may apply. Okay, so moving on to a mailbag. So I put a video out today asking for a few people's questions that they wanted to throw to the three of us to sort of fill the gap that we haven't got Jake on for tonight. So I'm going to start with Barry Conn, who was on our show. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
it was last week.
Oh,
yeah,
last week.
So his first question is, will the Las Vegas Raiders make the playoffs this season? The answer is yes. And has Paul decided on an NFL team yet?
No. You've got to put it out. You've got to put it out. We'll have 6 options: the top 3 that came up, and then the 3 Florida teams
plus the Raiders.
Okay.
So we'll make it 7.
Okay,
all right,
7.
good answer.
Right,
I'll put it as a poll.
So we'll let the nation decide.
Absolutely. So Barry's other question, more Magic related now, is: do you think Jalen Suggs gets moved to the 2 when Markelle eventually returns from injury to take the pressure off him? And he also mentioned he thinks he's looking a bit like Cole Anthony did last year at times, I think, with that inexperience that rookies typically go through. So I'll throw that one to Paul.
Okay, I don't think he necessarily gets moved to the 2, but I think duties get shared. You potentially go with. We don't know what lineup we've got, do we? Does he come in? How do you bench Cole at the moment? If Markelle comes when Markelle comes back, how do you bench Cole with how he's playing? Because he's grown in his performance, and it's easy to see that he is on the court at the moment more effective than Jalen. So if you are going to have your best lineup, do you go with Cole, or do you focus on the development of Jalen? So the answer is, I honestly don't know. I think if he is playing with Markelle, then the duties get shared because of both ball handling abilities. If we're talking down the stretch, then yes, he probably ends up at the 2 because Markelle is more likely to create you the winning opportunity.
G, what do you think?
Yeah, I can't add to that. I'd say exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on, Will Casey on Instagram, still sticking with Jalen Suggs. Do you think Jalen Suggs' issues will continue?
They're not. I suppose they are issues, but it's just learning the game. He's playing the most difficult position of an NBA player. Running the offense, even an off guard, it's very, very difficult. And he's coming up against grown men, people who've played this for years and years. He's just come out of college. He's very, very young. So things are going to be, he's going to be like a deer in the headlights. So as he plays more, the game will slow down for him. So we're probably going to see a few games like this where he's going to struggle, but then you will probably get the odd game where he might go for 30 points or, make a key shot at the end. So I'm not worried. I'm not reading anything into this. Franz has had a great start because he's probably flown under the radar of a lot of people with their expectations. Jalen being, fifth overall, probably should have been fourth. He just carries that extra weight. So not worried. He'll learn the system. What he needs to do is as his position dictates, and he'll be fine. And we'll see a lot better performances as the season goes on.
And if you look at the stats, sorry, Paul, I was just going to say, if you look at the stats as well, you got Franz is fifth in points per game for rookies, and Jalen's sixth. So, yeah.
For me, I don't think there's any great issues yet with regards to Jalen. He's learning the game, as G said. You've got to expect that there's going to be turnovers. That's going to happen. His shot hopefully will improve, but you've got to look in the 5 games, the point guards he's come up against. He's played against Kemba Walker twice. The guy's a talent. He's played against Kyle Lowry, which we all know is a difficult matchup for many a player in the NBA. He's played against LaMelo Ball, who, he's only a year further on in development, but is a really strong player who's had experience of playing elsewhere as well. He has experience. So you look at he's come across good players in that position that he's had to battle with. The other thing to remember is that he's only the defeat to Charlotte is the only game he hasn't scored double digits in. That's the only game he hasn't scored double digits in. And he was, I don't know if you saw him at the end, he was not happy at the loss. And it's good to see if he's getting angry, then that's your motivation. Hopefully he can translate that to performances on the court.
Yeah.
The ball handling, I think we all know it's an area that he needs to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, was it 5 turnovers in the Heat game in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been an issue for the Magic for the first 5 games of the season. So it's not just on Jalen Suggs, but
the Heat do that to everybody. The Heat have active hands against everybody. They are one of the most aggressive defensive teams that you've come up against. You've got Jimmy Butler, you've got Kyle Lowry. Both are aggressive defensive players. He wasn't the only one with multiple turnovers in that game, but they knew to target him, and he'll get them games. Tonight will be a big test when he's up against the Toronto crowd, because they will give it to him. But tonight's one where he's got to have his head in the game.
And the one thing I've really liked from both rookies is how good defensively they've both been.
Oh yeah.
You look at there was a couple of possessions in the Hornets game, and one was defending in the corner, another one was pressuring the ball, and you just looked at the two of them and you thought, you two are like cornerstone defensive minded players. Forget about what they're doing on the other end at the moment. You just think that they're holding their own defensively. They're obviously going to have to work on their strength and stuff like that. But look, going back to Jalen's issues, like he's going to improve. He's only played 5 games, so give the guy a break. I think when Fultz comes back, I do think that's going to make a big difference, because he's going to be able to help teach him as well. Even though Fultz is still quite young, he's going to help Suggs learn as well. MCW is going to be there as well. So look, it's 5 games. So
like his strength.
Absolutely. And there was an and one. So we're going to go to ref rant now. There was an and one that he should have got the other night. And I can't remember. Was it he bulldozed through Miles Bridges? No, he bulldozed.
It wasn't the New York game.
No,
that was the one you weren't happy about.
I don't think any Magic fan was happy with the officiating in that New York game.
No.
It was so...
There we go, boys. Let it all out. Let it all out. Go on.
There were. I'm not going to say that it was uneven calling, but
it was.
It didn't feel like when we were getting clubbed and players were getting clubbed, when there was a lot of contact on offence, that we got the calls in the same way.
But yeah,
go on, G, let it go.
Well,
we turn to the professional for this.
Where's his note? He's got 3 pages of notes on ref Rant.
No. It was that Knicks game, the one we won, which was the worst one for me.
Yeah, it was.
Like you said, Randall bulldozed his way, and you breathed on him and it was a foul. But then RJ, Cole, Jalen Suggs, of course, he got smashed over the head. No calls. The flagrant on Randall was a bit harsh. Should have been a flagrant too, maybe.
It was hell of a clip. It was a hell of a clip around the head.
Yeah, I mean the ball was gone.
There was no way you could argue that there was wind up and connection with that one.
Yeah, we had the whiff, as they call it, wind up, impact, and follow through. Was it?
Yeah.
So. No, a couple of things this week, wasn't it? Let's be honest. That Knicks game.
I did. I thought, mate, we're going to have to say it as well about the Charlotte game, then, because the disparity in free throws was ridiculous. You look how many more times that they shot at the free throw line than we did, and was there that much difference in approach play to the basket? Because we weren't from threes. They were all. I think the majority of the free throws in that game came from players attacking the basket. I know that there may be a couple of fouls as we were chasing the game last off that skew the figures a little bit. But overall, 11 more free throws is a lot. But
as I said, that Jalen Suggs one, and he bulldozed past Miles Bridges, and it should have been an and one. That summed that game up quite well. So there's our weekly ref rant. There we go. So
can I just add one thing? I thought Lauren Holtkamp had a great game refereeing the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Lakers on Wednesday night. So kudos to Lauren. Great job. And go Thunder.
That choked you? Does that really hurt to say that?
No, because the Lakers lost.
So Jack McIntosh on Instagram. Which player has surprised us the most so far this season?
I think it's going to be unanimous Franz, isn't it?
I don't know. I'd say Cole as well. Cole for me has come out. Mo, obviously, he's doing a lot more than I kind of expected. So kudos to him. He's been absolutely brilliant. In Markel's absence, but now it's causing a problem, isn't it, at the point guard position? Because, like you guys said about 5 minutes ago, how can you put Cole back on the bench now after the way he's played the first 5 games? I don't think you can. So for me, Cole and Franz obviously had a fantastic start to the season too. So long may it continue.
Yeah, right. I suppose considering I've not always been a Mo Bamba fan, I really ought to go with Mo Bamba, didn't I? I didn't think about Mo. My mind instantly went to Franz because I didn't expect him to hit the ground running the way he has done. I know that we've been told that all the analytics of him are that he is going to be a solid player, that he's got great basketball intelligence, and we're seeing that. His positioning and movement is superb. Active hands, deflecting passes, you can't fault the man. And he's a strong passer of the ball. But I suppose now you've said Mo, I'm going to have to go with that one. I'd not thought about that. But as I've not always been a fan of Mo, and was, full well, Mike had said to you, I was prepared to move on from him previously. His play, and he thoroughly deserves every minute he's getting. And we not struggle, that's the wrong phrase, but we look a lesser team without him on the court now.
And he's quietly gone about his business.
Yeah. Happy to have been wrong.
Yeah.
How about you, Mikey?
It's got to be Wagner, hasn't it? The guy I said to both of you separately this week. It was funny how pre-season the guy just felt anonymous out there. Like he was just making up the numbers, and it was like a flick of a switch. Because since the Spurs game, he's been phenomenal for 5 games. He's obviously had the odd thing here and there, but he always seems to make, like you guys have said, he always seems to make the right play, make the right pass. He knows when to shoot. His 3-point, his shooting form looks unreal. Yeah. He just needs the reps. So yeah, Wagner's been fantastic. So that's who I would go for. Jack also had a second question. What pairing has you more concerned with player skill sets overlapping? Bamba and Wendell Carter, or Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs together?
Mate, for me, I'm backcourt all day long. Because you throw Markel into the mix. Yeah. So you throw Markel into that mix, and it's actually a nice problem, I suppose, that we've got something that we haven't had for quite some time as to who is our best point guard, who is the best option at the number 2, the shooting guard. The question, I suppose, is going to come is, do we have somebody who is effective as the number 2, as the shooting guard? Or have we got 3 players who are really point guards? So yeah, for me, it's the backcourt.
G?
For me, Bamba and Wendell Carter can play together, as we've seen. So you can still have them on the court at the same time. And if they're both, becoming stretch bigs that can defend and rebound quite well, that's encouraging. And Anthony and Suggs, if they're the same player, one could come off the bench. So I'm not concerned. I like to see the competition. So I don't know.
But who plays the 2 role effectively?
Well, with Anthony and Suggs, it's either of them, really. I don't think it matters, because then you just bring the other one as a 6th man, because the 6th man is primarily a scorer, like we've seen what Terence Ross does. You play Markel at the 1, and then you play either of them alongside, and then the next one coming off the bench. That's what I do.
I mean, if you're talking about 6 man, I mean, Cole with his scoring ability,
Cole becomes the 6th man at that, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
In that argument.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, the question about Bamba and Wendell Carter is perhaps more prevalent when JI returns.
Mm.
Fair enough.
But does that partnership that them 2 are forming? I'm going to ask another question. Does that partnership then that Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. are forming, does that make JI, whereas before we've always seen him as unmovable, that we've got to keep him, does he become a player that you can look at as perhaps using as a trade chip?
If he's healthy.
There is.
Yeah.
There is that, but then you've got to try these rotations together, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
You put Bamba and JI together, and that could be even better.
Absolutely.
So it gives you
JI
options.
and Wendell. Mate, we have a lot of questions, and we're not going to know the answers to a lot of these until possibly the end of next season.
Yeah,
I think what this season's gonna highlight, and I think we've already seen a small sample size, a small glimpse of that, is who can play.
Yep.
Who can play out of this young court at the moment. And we've already seen Mo's been pretty consistent for 5 games. Wendell, Cole Anthony, Suggs, and Wagner as well. Suggs, obviously, we want to see a little bit more from, but yeah, it's coming together. I've got one last question regarding this team before I've got a few other questions. So from Sean Moore, who asked us on, I think it was Instagram, fast forward a year, our young players have shown promise, even if it's not translating to wins yet. Who or what position would we look for in free agency? I'll go to Paul first.
I'm not going to say a position or a person. I still think that ultimately the thing that we may have to address is wing shooting. So somebody that can come in and score, especially if we do, as all the rumours are, move on from Terence.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's going to be my answer at this moment, because I think there's too many intangibles that we don't know yet with regards to who's, when, you know, we've not seen Chuma this season. We've not seen JI. We've not seen Markel. They are three core parts of this team. So I don't think you can necessarily know exactly who you're looking for, but I imagine that the thing that we're still going to need to address is shooting.
Yeah.
I agree.
You go after, well, obviously you go after a superstar, and whatever position that superstar is, it fits in. But other than that, Paul's spot on. We talked at the end of last season, and I said Doug McDermott was the free agent we should have targeted. Spreads the floor, knocks down a shot, and you get somebody like that. And we saw what he did against us for the Spurs in the first game of the season. It's a very valuable trait to have in your team. So, shooter, definitely.
Okay, so we've got a few more fantasy questions before we move on to the end of the show. So if you had a chance to trade for any current NBA player, who would you choose and why?
Is this, we can, do we have to give equal back, or do we? And
this is from Gary Clark coming with this one.
No, we're not giving anything back.
Okay, then you go for Durant, don't you? To be honest, he's the best. If I was allowed one player from the NBA, I think Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA. But if we're trying to maybe have a fit long term for our team, maybe a Joel Embiid. That's who I'd probably say.
Go on, Mikey. You've been asking the questions. Let's give you the chance.
Well, you and me both love Dame, but Dame doesn't make sense with the point guards that we've got. I would say, and it's literally just coming to the top of my head, somebody like Brandon Ingram. If we're talking about wing scoring as a scorer, Brandon Ingram with his age.
You'd rather him to Durant?
No. All right. I did say fantasy, didn't I? All right. We can say LeBron. All right. I could say Giannis. All right. There you go. We'll top that one. I'd rather Giannis over Durant. But no, I think if you were still building with what we've already got, somebody like Brandon Ingram, of his age, his ability to score, who fits a position we've already talked about potentially needing to fill later down the road. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head other than Ingram. Paul, who are you thinking?
Fantasy. Full well.
DJ Augustine.
I still miss DJ, but he's not a need we have nowadays. Let's be fair. Now, if we're talking fantasy, I'm going to go for my favourite non-Magic player. The player I would pay an obscene amount of money to watch. The guy who can shoot the lights out, who's got incredible movement and makes others better on the court, Steph Curry.
Okay.
Yeah, solid. Can't argue that.
But mate, I also would. You've both mentioned the other two that it was a toss between Giannis and KD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna miss a few questions. So sorry guys if we haven't had time to come to it because we've still got a few other bits to cover. So last question. This is really funny because Geraint asked me this earlier. And then your brother put it on Twitter to us, and you hadn't even actually talked to one another, so it was a bit scary. So, if there was an expansion team that say went to Seattle or Las Vegas or somewhere like that, which current Magic players would you want to make sure Orlando prioritize holding on to? So let's say 3. What's your top 3 players? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I said 5.
I had 6. Yeah, and I struggled with 6.
Right, I've got 6 as well, and I struggled with 6. Yeah. Right, I'm going to narrow it down. Let's make it interesting. So I'm going to say 3. What's your top 3?
God.
So who's your 6 to start off with?
I think I might have 7 actually. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got 7.
My 6: Markel, Jalen, Cole, J.I., Wagner, Rant, and Bamba. They're my 6.
Okay.
See, I'd also got Wendell Carter Jr. in there as my final one. But my first 6 were the same as yours, G.
Yeah. So if
No
I'm
Chuma?
cutting people...
No Chuma?
I think...
Well, the fact he hasn't played, it doesn't really help, does it? But we know he's very capable and a great player.
Yeah. All right. Right. So let's whittle it down then. 3. What's your top 3?
Okay, got it.
Go on then.
Let Paul go for it. Okay, I've got it. Okay, Markel, obviously. Jalen and Jonathan Isaac.
Okay. Paul?
Markel.
Yeah, we're all in agreement with that one, by the way.
Yeah. Cole Anthony. And Franz.
Ooh,
Okay. I'm going to
I
go
don't understand why.
with Markel. I would go with Jalen. And I would go with Wagner.
Okay, it was a toss-up between J.I. and Wagner.
You two know how much I love J.I., but his injuries are a massive question mark.
That's the reason that I've not put him in there.
And it's not because we don't want. I would love it if he puts it all behind him. But right now, looking at who you've got on this roster, I think we all still feel fairly confident Markel's going to come back healthy and he's going to put the ACL behind him. So you've got to move forward with Markel. And then you've got your 2 first-round picks this year. So that would be my 3.
Yeah.
So anybody change any mind?
It's a really hard question. It's a really hard question. And I think, again, that comes back to how good we are feeling about the potential of this squad.
Yeah.
So Jalen Suggs jersey competition. So this week I'm going to throw it over to Paul because he keeps picking on me.
I don't pick on you. All I'm doing is allowing you the opportunity to hone your skills of speech, my friend. That's all it is. So anyway, here we go. Now, as I've set myself up, let's hope we can do it right. So our friends at the official NBA store, EU and Fanatics UK are giving away an Orlando Magic Jalen Suggs jersey to one lucky winner. That's how you do it, Mikey. You need to do 2 things. First of all, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment on the episode looking at the 2021. I'll start that bit again. Looking at the 2021-2022 schedule, telling us which Magic player you're looking forward to watching the most over this season. The link is going to be on this podcast description to save you searching. So just click onto that link. It will take you straight to the previous video and comment on there. When we've decided to go with 350 followers, we've decided to lower it a little bit to the channel. So once we hit that number, we're going to have the prize draw and announce who won it on the future episode. Just for information, we are at 328 followers at the moment. Last time that we checked. I don't know if you've looked more recently, guys.
Yep. Same.
Still 3 to 8. Cool.
So 22 more people, and we're going to cut the draw off, and we're going to get on and do that draw.
And we don't care. We don't even care if you've got 2 accounts. If you've got 2 Google accounts or whatever, stick the email in and bag yourself another entry because it all helps us with followers.
Yeah. So moving on to the week ahead. So in fact, actually, starting at last week, we were all right. We all went 1-3 with a few. I think we all said we beat New York. I think I went for the home game, but that's a minor detail. It's all about the numbers. So we're all 1-0.
Oh, outrageous.
But then you told me, Paul, I could have the first week for
yep. Oh mate, you got the first week without a doubt.
No. We won't count that one. We'll start from last week. So we all started 1-0. We're all undefeated. So we record our next episode next Thursday, the 4th of November, with 4 games up until that period. So the Magic start tonight at the Raptors, which is a midnight tip-off. Everyone that's watching or listening, we would have already played, so you would have known that.
So we're not going to preview it.
You were not going to preview it, but they are. The Raptors are coming off a win on Wednesday versus the Pacers. They then travel to Detroit and play the Pistons on Saturday night, which is another midnight tip-off. The Pistons are 0-4 and have lost by 8 on Thursday at the 76ers. The clocks then go back for us on Saturday evening. So for the next week, there's only a 4-hour time difference. So the Timberwolves game and the Celtics game before next week will both be an hour earlier. And then the US clocks go back next weekend. So the Magic then travel to Minnesota on Monday night, which is midnight for us in the UK. They are 3-1 and they are coming off a 5-point win over the Milwaukee Bucks on Wednesday. And then the Magic finished the week before our next episode at home to the Celtics, which is an 11 p.m. tip-off in the UK. And the Celtics are currently 2-3. They lost at home to Washington by 9 on Wednesday. So predictions, boys. So we were all right last week. We'd all like to be wrong if we had a winning record, but we're just being honest and having a good guess. So predictions. So G, what do you think for this week then?
I knew you'd come to me first. Right.
I did put it in the notes.
Oh, did you?
It's not a surprise, mate. It was scripted.
My head says one thing, my heart says another. So let's go 2-2. Let's be optimistic.
Ooh.
Right, we will beat the Toronto Raptors tonight, and Jalen will get his way with the Raptors. I'd like to think we'd beat the Detroit Pistons also. And then I think the Timberwolves are going to have too much for us. And I don't know. I'd like us to beat the Celtics of all the teams, but no, 2-2. Although I should say 1-3. 2-2. I know you're going to have the same conundrum as me as well. So,
hey, well, I'm going 1-3 because I don't see us beating Toronto. Unfortunately, I would love us to beat Toronto. I just feel, even though Pascal's out and Watanabe, isn't it? He's out as well. I just feel that OG, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent are probably going to have too much for us. I think that the experience of their backcourt is going to pay dividends for them. I wrote in the game preview, I keep seeing that a lot of the game, people are predicting that how we go against OG Anunoby is going to be key to the game because of how well he's been playing at the start of the season. So let's cover it first of all by whichever way it's gone. Get in, Magic. Well, great win. Or at least they competed. It was a good effort. So that's that covered, but I'm still going for the loss. Pistons, I know there's no Cade Cunningham, potentially. So, and their offence isn't brilliant. So I just think that we've got a chance to get things flowing that night. I'm going for a win there. T-Wolves, Cat, D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, all having monster starts to the season. And G's favourite, Pat Beverley, to come off the bench. I don't see us having enough there. Celtics, we will compete with them. I don't think we'll get blown out. I think we'll fight really well against them. And I think it's going to be another one of those games where we just come up a little short in the end. So 1-3.
Well, I'm going to be optimistic this week and stick with Geraint. I'm going 2-2.
Good lad.
Yeah. I've got to stop. I can't. I've got to shake that glass half empty label that Alan put on me last year. So I've got to try and shake that this year. No, I don't think we'll beat the Raptors. I think the Pistons game, if we don't win that, I think we're all going to be pretty peed off with that because we are better than them at the moment. And like I said, if Cade Cunningham's not playing either, then hopefully we should have the edge in that game. Again, Minnesota, they've had a good start. It's difficult for us. It's the first. No, we've already had a West Coast game this year, but yeah, I think that's going to be a tough matchup. Paul, you were going to say something. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's actually the one that I'm sort of because we often do quite well there. It's one of them places where we sometimes get a result. And I was I've kind of thought, I did kind of wonder about that one.
Well, I'm going to say we're going to beat the Celtics because we got to win a home game soon. So, and they're 2-3 to start the season. So they've had a little bit of a wobbly start. They've got question marks. There's rumblings that people want Marcus Smart to drop back to the bench and Dennis Schroeder to start. So they've got their question marks. So I'm actually going to say we're going to beat the Pistons and the Celtics this week.
And in fairness, we did compete with them in the preseason. You know, our starters got the better of them in Boston. And then it was only when the G League team came in, they beat us. And then we actually beat them in the second game. So, yeah.
And I've just realised.
I do think it's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be a very competitive game.
And I'm just going to say, I've already done my magic moments for tonight. And I put us to win tonight. So if I put a no in this one, I'm going to get one right. So there we go. Okay, right. So moving on to Magic Trivia. Okay, so we're going to play a new game that I've come up with, which Paul's going to love because it's going to get his brain working again. So it's called What's That Jersey Number? Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 stats or facts about 5 different players. Some of these may be more difficult than the others, but all 5 have worn the same number playing for the Magic. And your job is, if you can guess the player and you can remember what number they played, then you'll obviously win a point for that round. All right. So I've done 3. I actually did one for one each of you and Jake. So you can both have a crack at the one that we haven't covered. So I'm going to let Paul go first. So you can pick option 1, 2, or 3.
We'll go with the same number that my performance is going to be. So we'll have a number 2.
Right. I'm not even going to say anything about that. Right. Player 1 was... in fact, no, I'm going to leave this one to last. Player 2 played 1,024 games in his NBA career, including a 1-year stint with the Magic in 09-10.
Yeah, should we move on?
Okay, right. Second one. So player 2 averaged 4 points a game in one season with the Magic in 18-19. His uncle is a Magic legend.
Oh, I should get this one.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, go on, mate.
So averaged 4 points a game in one season playing for the Magic in 18-19, and his uncle is a Magic legend.
Yeah, I got it. What number did he wear?
I have gone absolutely blank tonight.
Okay, right. Third one. Player 3 featured in just 3 games last season for the Magic after being traded for Nikola Vucevic.
You get bonus points for getting all the players down.
Yeah.
He was traded from us and he just played 3 afterwards.
He was traded to us for Vooch and only played 3 games for us last season.
Otto Porter Jr., that is.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I can't remember his number.
Okay. Right. There's 2 left yet, so I'll give you those and then it might jog your memory. So player 4 was drafted 15th overall in 2003 and spent 1 season with the Magic in 03-04.
And he was awful.
Moving on.
You won't know this one. Right, last one.
Way before me time.
So last player was drafted number 8 overall in 2021.
That's so it's number 21 then, isn't it?
No.
No, 22. Number
Correct.
22.
There you go. So
Sorry,
G,
wrong brother, 22.
So G, can you name the players then?
I can. Geraint Grant is the first one.
Correct. His uncle's a Magic legend.
How many have we got here? Yeah, the second one then
Never put 2 and 2 together there.
Yeah.
Was Matty Barnes.
Correct.
Number
Paul's
3
already
was
said Otto Porter. Yeah.
Otto Porter. Number 4 was Reece Gaines.
Yeah.
And then Paul's mentioned Franz Wagner.
There you go.
Number 22.
There you go. Right. Option 1 or 3 for Geraint.
Don't mind, mate. Give me the hardest one.
You're both going to have a stab at the last one. 1. Okay. Right. There we go then. Right. Player 1 shot a career best 37% from the 3-point line in 10 seasons with the Magic, more than any other team he played for in his NBA career. You got it?
I think I know.
Go on.
I think that's my boy Nick.
Oh. Okay.
Hang on.
Jot it down. I'm going to give you the next one then.
Yeah. Carry on.
Right. Player 2 played 300.
Oh, actually, you might. No, actually, no. I think of someone else. I think 3D now. Anyway, carry on.
Okay, writing down. Player 2 played 381 games for the Magic in 5 seasons. Again, some are harder than the others. Okay. Player 3 played for New Orleans, Philadelphia, Washington, and New York before joining the Magic. So there's who's the journeyman in there as well.
So New Orleans, Philadelphia, Washington, and New York.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Before Orlando.
Correct.
Oh my God. Okay, keep going.
Any idea, Paul? No? This player who I just mentioned played in your first season as a fan.
Okay. So
okay. I'll let you think about that. Right. Player 4 averaged 36.5% from 3 in 20 games for the Magic last season. Okay.
That felt a lot harder than mine.
Okay.
It is.
Last one. Player 5 started all 5 games against the Raptors in the playoffs in 2019.
All over the place.
These are hard, aren't they?
This one is all over the place.
Get in. Because they're too easy for G most weeks.
You've succeeded.
Okay. So who you think? Right, player 1. Who are you thinking?
Hang on.
Started all 5 games.
Go on.
Vooch started all 5.
Yeah.
Sure, DJ did.
Yeah.
Fournier did.
Yeah.
My gosh. It's rock, Mikey.
Okay. Do you want me to give you some clues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get one.
So player 1, who have you got on your list?
Well, I had Nick Anderson and Dennis Scott, but
okay, it's later than that. So who played 10 seasons for the Magic after that period?
Redick didn't. I said didn't.
Okay.
It's probably Fournier, isn't it?
No, he only played 7.
What was his free throw stats, Mikey?
37.4% in 10 seasons for the Magic.
A 3-point field goals that was.
Mm-hmm.
3 points.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue. He quickly moved on when we started our last rebuild. So I'm just giving you clues now to push it along.
JJ.
No.
Has it?
Who?
As in the rebuild that we've now just started, or the previous, the 2015
the previous one, the 2015 one. So before, it is in fact earlier than that. Who else was part of that team in the mid 2000s with Dwight, JJ? Who played 10 years on that team?
I can't think. My gosh. Jameer.
Yeah.
Oh. Right, okay.
So what's the number then?
14.
There you go.
Number.
So
right.
So player 2.
Okay. Is Jason Smith.
No.
Yeah.
That's player 3.
Oh, that's sorry.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Yeah. Sorry. New York, Philly, Washington, New York. Yeah. That's Jason Smith.
Yeah. Player 2 played 381 games for the Magic in 5 seasons. I'll give you the years. 91
Anthony
to
Bowie.
96. Correct. Player 4 averaged 36% from 3 in 20 games for the Magic last season. I'll give you a clue. He was traded to us at the deadline.
That'd be Gary Harris.
Correct.
And then you got DJ Augustine.
And DJ was the last one. There we go.
Well done.
Right. Last one.
That was difficult. Go on then.
Last one. So you both can have a crack at this together. So player 1 was drafted 16th overall. G might know this. By the Sacramento Kings. I'm not going to tell you the year.
And he's played for the Magic.
Correct. Any clues?
Deadman or Abdul Wahad comes to mind.
Okay. Right. Second one. Yeah. Player 2 averaged a career best 27 points per game playing for the Toronto Raptors. Okay. I'm going to leave that one there. I'll give you.
Okay. All right, I've got him.
Who is it?
So the first one's Matt Harprin.
No,
the second one's Vince Carter. No?
But that one's correct.
Okay.
So what number did Vince Carter wear for the Magic, Paul? I know it was a bit before your time. Can you remember?
No idea, mate.
Okay. Right. We'll keep going.
I'm going to pretend.
We'll keep going. So Paul.
Okay, hang on. Let me just have a quick look.
Right. I'll give you a couple more. Okay. Player 3 featured in just 4 games for the Magic last season. He started 1 before getting injured. Any idea, Paul? There was a lot of players last year as well.
I got the first. Turk was the first one. I don't know why I said Harprin.
Correct.
Is that Devon, perhaps?
No.
Oh, he didn't.
What was our last question, Mikey? Sorry, can you just repeat that one?
So player 3 featured in 4 games for the Magic last season and started 1 before getting injured, and he didn't play again.
Oh, it's that point guard, isn't it?
God, yeah, it's gonna. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name though.
Do you want me to just give you the name? Guard. Frank Mason.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
All right.
So player 4 was drafted 15th overall in 1998 and went on to play for the Magic 54 times in 2 seasons. Now you can say
one of my favorite players, Matt Harprin, who's the color analyst for the Utah Jazz.
And then the final one is player 5 started 6 games and featured in 18 for the Magic in the playoffs during the finals run in 1995.
There you go.
Go on then.
Hang on. Oh, 1995, number 15. 1995.
So he come off the bench.
Tree Rollins.
Wrong.
Oh.
No, and the last one was Donald Royal.
Donald Royal. Oh. He was number 5.
Why did I find him at 15 then?
Had you found a
question, Master?
Now you're thinking it. He did wear 5. I even went on a Basketball Reference, and I'm sure he was on the list. Hey, it's Mikey. Just giving you guys an update on the Donald Royal trivia that I thought I'd got wrong. According to Basketball Reference, Donald Royal played 2 games for the Magic in 97-98. And that appears, without doing some more research, that seems to be the period when he wore number 15. So Donald Royal actually wore 5 and 15 playing for the Magic.
Don't worry. I started writing like Brooks Thompson. Like, no, he's not number 15.
Anyway, the number was 15. Number was 15.
Good questions, Mikey.
There we go. Cool. So that wraps up this week. So thank you as always for listening and watching. As we've already mentioned, we're recording next Thursday, the 4th of November with Jake Chapman from Orlando Magic Radio. Before then, make sure you visit our website, orlandomagicuk.com for the latest news. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Orlando Magic UK. You can find all of our links in the podcast, including the NBA Store, Fanatics, and NBA League Pass. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, hit the notification button, and so you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure you leave us some comments. And from Geraint, Paul, and me, until next week, go Magic.